This robot lawnmower honestly feels way too advanced for the price. Because on paper, the ANTHBOT Genie 600 sounds like something that should cost a lot more. Wire-free setup, RTK navigation, AI obstacle avoidance, automatic lawn mapping, pattern mowing. Those are features normally found in premium robot mowers. So, naturally, people were skeptical. But after digging through owner feedback, forum discussions, hands-on tests, and expert opinions, the surprising thing is, this mower actually seems pretty solid for the money. The biggest reason people buy the Genie 600 is simple: no boundary wires. Traditional robot mowers usually require you to bury a wire around your lawn to create a virtual fence. And honestly, people hate doing that. It takes time, it's annoying, and if the wire breaks later, troubleshooting becomes a nightmare. The Genie 600 skips all of that. Instead, it uses RTK positioning and onboard cameras to map your yard digitally. So, setup feels more like configuring a robot vacuum than installing outdoor infrastructure. Now, this is where things get interesting. Because user experiences were very mixed during setup, some owners said everything worked in under an hour. Others spent days adjusting antenna placement and fixing signal issues. And that's probably the most important thing to understand before buying this mower. Your yard matters a lot. If you have an open lawn with decent sky visibility, the Genie 600 usually performs much better. But if your property has heavy tree cover, narrow side yards, tall fences, or difficult GPS conditions, reliability can drop. And to be fair, this isn't just an ANTHBOT issue. Even expensive wire-free robot mowers struggle with this sometimes. But once people got everything dialed in, most feedback became surprisingly positive, especially when it came to mowing quality. Unlike cheaper robot mowers that randomly bounce around the lawn, the Genie 600 cuts in organized rows. And visually, that makes a huge difference. Several owners specifically mentioned how much cleaner and more professional the lawn looked afterward. It gives that striped, maintained appearance instead of looking randomly trimmed. Obstacle avoidance also got a lot of praise. The mower uses a 4-camera AI vision system to detect objects around the yard. And according to most owners, it actually works pretty well. People tested it around toys, furniture, pets, and garden decorations, and the mower generally avoided collisions without problems. That's a big improvement compared to older robot mowers that basically drove straight into everything. Now, obviously, this isn't perfect self-driving technology, but for the price, the obstacle detection impressed a lot of people. Another thing owners constantly mentioned was noise level. This thing is quiet, like surprisingly quiet. A lot of people said they could run it early in the morning or late at night without bothering neighbors. And honestly, that's one of the biggest advantages of robot mowers in general. Your lawn just kind of maintains itself in the background instead of becoming a weekend chore. Now, of course, there are still some weaknesses. The biggest complaint was app reliability. Some owners reported bugs, connectivity problems, delayed syncing, or awkward app design. The hardware seems more polished than the software right now, and that's where bigger brands like Husqvarna still have an advantage. Another common complaint was edge cutting. The Genie 600 doesn't always trim perfectly along fences, walls, or tight edges, so some owners still needed a string trimmer occasionally for cleanup. Battery life also depends heavily on yard size. For normal suburban lawns, most users seem satisfied, but larger or more complicated properties naturally require more charging cycles. And honestly, that's where expectations become important. Some people clearly expected commercial-grade performance from a relatively affordable residential robot mower. That's not really what this is. The Genie 600 works best for average suburban lawns, where you want convenience more than perfection. Now, compared to premium competitors, this mower's biggest strength is value. Because feature for feature, it competes surprisingly well against much more expensive systems. That's why it's suddenly getting attention online. People expected a cheap gimmick. Instead, they got something that feels genuinely competitive. Not perfect, but much better than expected. So here's the bottom line. If you have a relatively open lawn, if you want to stop spending weekends mowing, and if you want premium robot mower features without paying premium robot mower prices, the ANTHBOT Genie 600 honestly makes a lot of sense. But if your yard has difficult satellite visibility, dense tree coverage, or if you expect a flawless setup experience with zero tweaking, you may still be better off with a more established premium brand. Still, for the price, this thing is surprisingly impressive. And honestly, it feels like one of the clearest signs yet that robot lawnmowers are finally becoming practical for normal homeowners instead of just expensive tech enthusiasts.